All right, welcome. Hey, this is Gavin Mehl. Wanted to just do a recharge today for everybody who watches. You're going to get recharged, some funny stories, and talk a little bit about personal development, self-image, and stay till the very end because you're going to get some valuable insight information on how to do this, some of the keys on how to do this, okay? So stay till the end. First, I want to start with something light. There's a story here. I had a buddy come in to stay with me. Shout out to I don't want to embarrass the guy. Well, shout out to Rich. Shout out to this guy. He comes in and stays with me a couple, what was it, last weekend, I believe it was. And so, the guy's been a friend of mine for a long time. And every 6 months or so, he'll come in and he does he does seminars where he goes in and talks in front of groups of people. And he's a closer. That's what he specializes in. He's a professional closer. So he'll do this, and he comes in and stays with me, and when by the time he gets to Sacramento, his seminar's in the Bay Area, right? So by the time he gets to Sacramento, he's kind of letting off some steam. He's not working here, right? He's having a good time. He stays with another buddy, and then he comes here. Usually about a week, right? He stays with me for the weekend. So we go out, have a good time Friday. We go out, have a good time on Saturday. And his flight, he's telling me, is on Sunday. So he's like, okay, man, don't forget, we got to get to the airport Sunday. The flight's at, I think it was 1 o'clock. So I'm like, okay, sure, buddy. I'm not going to be responsible for that. But hey, that's your responsibility. So he's kind of all worried about it, right? He's all packing his bags, kind of getting ready the night before. He's making sure, hey, we got to get there. He's going to go out and have a few drinks and have a good time. He doesn't want to forget about his flight. So he's really kind of, asked me about it all night. Aiden, don't forget to remind me about the flight. We got to get there. I'm like, no problem, man. We'll get you to the flight. It's not something we're going to forget. No problem at all. So, we all have a great time. Everything's fun. Have a blast. And we get to come back, and he had a few too many to drink. I'm not a big drinker myself, so I don't really get to that point. But he had a few too many, so I was kind of, and he basically passes out by the time he gets home. Passes out in the clothes. One of those where you're passed out, kind of fully dressed with your shoes on and everything. Like, that was kind of what happened, right? So I'm laughing. I'm thinking, I hope he gets up in time for his flight. But of course, I get up early, so it doesn't matter. So we get up early, and he's hungover, but get him out of there. And he gets on his way, gets out of there in time for his flight. Everything's great. I'm thinking, all right. I don't know, 30 minutes, 40 minutes go by. He gives me a call back. I'm like, oh, man, what happened? He missed the flight? And he says, I gotta tell you something. And I'll be right back. So he ends up showing back up at the house. I'm like, what's going on? So he gets to the airport. And, this whole worry about, I got to make sure I don't miss my flight. We're all stressed out about this from his big hangover. He gets to the airport, and he goes up to the line, and they say, your flight is on a different day. It's not this day, dude. It's a different day. So he missed the freaking day of the flight. He completely missed the day. It's a true story, not the flight. All right, so just something light here, personal development. I want to tell a story about once upon a time, there was a man, there was a guy in Chicago on a subway that found this book. He got a copy of this particular book. Well, he's on the subway. He gets a copy of this book, and he starts reading the book, and the book really had a profound impact on him. So he says, if I can find the author of this book, this guy's got the key to turning my life around. Give you a little background. This guy on the subway, he had some tough times. He had success. He had a family. He had happy family, but then he fell on hard times, and he lost his assets, and his family wasn't looking at him as fondly. And he figured, he's going to turn things around. He got a copy of this book, and this author of this book's got the secret. He's going to turn me around. I know he can do it. So he goes on this mission to find the author of this book. So he ends up at this. He goes to Chicago, and he ends up at this place, going to the office where the author of this book was. Right? Meets with the secretary. He says, "Is the author of this book in this building?" Yes, he is actually. Oh, he gets in. Waits in the lobby. An hour goes by. Another hour. Finally gets an appointment to go and see this author. Right? And the author actually talks to him. Right? He sits down. He's like, it's a pleasure to meet you. You wrote this book, and it really helped inspire me a lot. But I know that you have the key. You have the secret that can turn my life around. You got it. I know you do. And the author of the book sits down and agrees to meet with him, and he's thinking, boy, this guy's really doesn't look like he's got much hope. He's in a really bad position. He could tell. He's like, I'll meet with you. I'll talk with you. Sure, I'll see what we could do. Why don't you come in my office and tell me your story? And so, but he says, but before you tell me your story, he's like, I don't know if I can help you. Okay, he's like, I don't know if I can help you. I'm just letting you know. It doesn't look like I can. I'm just being honest, but I'm willing to listen. So he tells him his story of woe, right? And all the bad and sad things that happened over the years. How he lost his job and he lost his assets that he had. And he lost his money. Now he's on the down and out. But okay, great. He says, but I have a feeling that you can help me. You have this secret that's kind of got enthusiastic about when he's telling the author. The author had the secret to his success. So after all this, the author's listening to him, and he says, I have some bad news. I can't help you. And I'm afraid that you've come all this way, and I don't have anything for you. There's nothing that I can do. And the man comes back to me. He's like looking at him like all the life is just sucked out of him, right? He just kind of slumps down in his chair, and he's completely devastated. And he says, but I know the man who can. And all of a sudden he says, the man in the chair who comes in, he says, well, for the love of God, please tell me who he is. Introduce me to him. Take me to him now. And so then the author says, at least he has some hope. At least he has some faith that in God, there's some chance that we could save this guy. Says, all right, come with me. And he walks into the elevator, takes him up to a different office, right? And up to this curtain. There's a curtain there. And like a black curtain. He says, all right, are you ready to meet the man who can turn your life around? Because I can't do it, but I'm going to introduce you to him. Are you ready to meet him? He says, yes, I'll do anything. I can meet this guy. I want to meet him. Okay, all right. Are you ready to meet him? The author takes the curtain, pulls it to the right, and there's a big mirror right there. He says, all right, I'd like to introduce you to the most important person in the world today. That's the person you're looking right at right now in the mirror. And that's the person who can change your life. He says, if you're looking for your life to change, you got to change things in your own life. So the man was just completely, devastated at this point. He looks in the mirror and it's unshaven, sloppy dressed. I probably hadn't even looked in his own reflection in the mirror and who knows how long. He looked terrible. He was absolutely devastated. He leaves the office and, the author said that's probably the last time he's ever going to see the guy. But a couple weeks pass by and the author sees the man on the street passing by. This is in Chicago. Sees the guy in Chicago and the guy's dressed nice. He's got a pep in his step. Just a few weeks later, and he stops the author and he says, "Excuse me, sir. I gotta thank you. What you did that day changed my life. Things started turning around. I got an opportunity, a job that's going to pay me a decent wage, and my boss loaned me money to get a new wardrobe, and I feel great, and I'm on the right track to getting things back together again. So thank you." He says, "One of these days, I'm going to come back and repay you." So, he took a lesson from it and actually began going in the right direction and working on himself. So I want to talk a little bit about working on myself and how I struggle with this process, and also how it will help you tremendously if you take this lesson and run with it. In high school, I went to school here in Sacramento. First of all, this is Gavin Mehl, Global Mastermind number 15. This is a story not of a guru's call, but a student's call, okay? So I'd like to give it to you in a place that I'm coming to you from the same place that you are. I hope that you hear this at a lesson of that we can do this together. This is a mastermind call. And I want this to be able to, a place to go recharge you, give you the energy, and give you the charge to then believe in yourself again, more than you did before. All right? This is just that type of call. I want you to come here on a weekly basis and watch the recordings on YouTube and get that charge, get that positive charge out of it, because that's what it does for me. And I really believe that, see, I want to come to you from that place. I know that it's going to help people tremendously. And this is just speaking from the heart. But story here about fear. I went to high school here in Sacramento, California. And in high school, El Camino High School, we had this booth where there was sailors, the guys, really two well-dressed guys that were lieutenants in the Navy that would be posted up in the quad area of the high school. So, I'd pass by well-dressed guys, and they'd be posted up there like each year at a certain time. I don't know if it was like fall or spring, but certain time of year, they'd be posted up there for like a month. You'd see them there. So one day, a good friend of mine called Dylan and I, Dylan was a really sharp kid, but he needed a little bit of direction. Sharp, well-dressed kid, very focused, but he needed direction. So he wanted to talk to these people, to these guys. I never really stopped and talked, so I went and talked to him. Dylan liked what they had to say. He ended up enlisting in the Navy. And so Dylan's telling me a story about his experience in the Navy when he first gets in. And he says that all the new recruits, all the new recruits into the Navy, they're required to learn to swim, because the idea was that they hoped that the naval officers, the Navy hoped that one day, if they learned how to swim, it could save a sailor's life at sea one day. So he's saying that he's talking about when he first gets in there, and he's all the new recruits are around this pool, right? And Dylan was a swimmer, so it wasn't any big deal. He goes in and swam fine. But a lot of the new recruits from other areas, maybe like small towns, they'd never swam before, and so they had this fear of swimming. And as a lifelong swimmer myself, and maybe yourself watching it, it's no big deal. But Dylan talked about the fact that these non-swimmers, the fear that they had was incredibly real, incredibly real, knee-shattering real. I don't know if you've ever been in a place where you get so scared about talking to somebody or doing something, your knees actually start clacking together, right? Actually start making noise. But this is the feeling that Dylan said that these new recruits that were non-swimmers had. So he says that not on more than one occasion, some of the even though there's lots of professional, good trained swimmers around the pool, these new recruits were just terrified. So on more than one occasion, the guys in the Navy ended up pushing the new recruits in the pool. So, and after a few times of this, pushing them in, well, it was kind of rather funny for Dylan and the guys who swam. It was absolutely terrifying fear for these new recruits. But after a few times of this, taking the action of jumping in, dog paddling, being humiliated, right, kind of being laughed at by their peers, they ended up learning how to swim, right? They ended up learning how to swim by facing their own fear. So the reason I tell you this story is because the only solution that I've learned to overcoming a fear is by action, okay, by taking action. So these non-swimmers are jumping in. They're not even jumping in. They didn't want to jump in. By being pushed in, okay, they ended up learning how to swim after a few times, and then the fear was gone. It was gone after that one drop of water. Maybe you're in a place where you didn't want to be on camera, or you don't want to meet someone, or you're scared to make a phone call to call someone back that you had beef with at some point in the past. I'm telling you, by just taking the action and stop thinking about it, it's so freeing. Even doing this call, for me sometimes, like I said, I'm a student myself. I'm a constant student. I'm not a guru, okay? So by doing this call, just jumping on, sometimes I'm thinking about what I'm going to say sometimes, and leading up to it, it's like, gosh, dude, just get on and do it. Be yourself. In order to be free, I had to be me. In order to be free, I had to be me. And that's really hope you're going to learn a lot from that lesson. Action, okay, action is going to override fear. So Gavin Mehl Global Mastermind, number 15 today. And for those who don't know me, my name is Gavin Mehl. From out here in Sacramento, California. I became the number one of a large company straight out of college. Number one in sales for 20 straight months. It's taught me a lot about the law, something called the law of attraction, and kind of learned about it accidentally. Once I reached the number one in this company, I stumbled upon success, and then was able to keep that ranks kind of automatically by learning about this law of attraction. But after that, had incredible success in the business, had an office, but then financial crisis hit, and it wasn't always all roses and happy hunky-dory stuff. So just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of a background, but I stumbled upon this thing called personal development. It was kind of almost forced into it, personal growth and personal development. And I want to share you a story about how I learned about this, and because I know it's going to help. I believe 100% if you will take this lesson I'm going to tell you right now, that I'll talk to you about. If you actually absorb this, okay, then you will be able to, I will save you years of struggle and years of heartache and pain, okay, by just learning from my own experience. So a few years back, I was in a relationship with a girl. I had a girlfriend, right? Everybody, from the outside, it looked like Ken and Darby. Everybody was great. That's what they said to us. Oh, it was great. Clap the hands. I thought that was great. Jump up and down like I don't know. Just looking back and it's kind of funny. But anyways, from the outside, it probably looked like that. But one day, we ended up separating. Well, she separated from me. I was coming from a place of scarcity, so she ended up separating from me. My mind was not right. So I immersed myself into my work, and I focused on my work and started to grow myself more. But I wasn't coming in the right mindset at all. So here's what happened. So I literally felt like I was facing a crossroads. Like I didn't know what to do. All right, I didn't know where to go. I felt like my life was in turmoil, and I was like, everything was crashing down. I felt like it was just a dark place, a place of extreme scarcity is what I would say is the way I felt. Not abundance at this time, but extreme scarcity, where I was just trying to cling on to whatever I could because I felt like helpless, all alone at the time. And so I go out for a walk, and I'm literally at this, I go out for a walk, and I get this, get this phone call. I mean, I go out for a walk, and I'm on the walk. I cry out like I've never cried out before to the all-wise creator. And I literally say, just show me a sign. What do I do? What do I got to do? I'm just in a really bad, dark place right now. I mean, I don't understand what's wrong with me. What did I do wrong to deserve this? Kind of like the woe is me. Oh, everything's, why is this happening to me? Not taking any responsibility, right? Why me? So finally, I stop and breathe for a moment. My phone rings. The phone rings. I'm like, who's calling me right now? It's one of these random numbers. Like, I think it was an unknown number. Normally, I wouldn't answer the call. It's like a block number or unknown number. Whenever I would answer a call like that, but for some reason, I was just in such a place of scarcity where, like, I was just clinging on to anything. I answered the call. It ends up being one of these robocalls. A robocall, who answers a robocall? Here's the place where I'm at. I'm in such a place of scarcity that I actually answer a robocall and listen. It's like kind of silly laughing about it now. I mean, I don't listen to those calls anymore. I never really did before that, but it was just such a dark and scarcity place that I did. And the robocall tells me to follow some steps, and basically it leads me to invest in personal development. Okay. I listened to the call to the end. I took massive action, and it told me to invest money in personal development. It ended up being $5,000. Okay. And this sounds insane. Looking back at it from a distance, from a place of insight now, or from before, there's no way I would have ever done that. No way. Are you kidding me? Are you out of your mind? $5,000 books and tapes and personal development material? What are you, crazy? I mean, this is just the place I was at that time. It was not something that I felt like I could even afford to do at all. Not even close. But I did it anyways. Something inside of me, there was some small voice still inside of me left that was so calm that overrode this fear. And I took a leap of faith and I did it. I don't know. I invested this money in personal development. So by doing this, it led me back to the greats. Okay. Napoleon Hill, basically understanding the pure importance of who Napoleon Hill was and the importance of his works. Now, for those who don't know Napoleon Hill wrote the all-time bestseller, 70, 80 million copies now, Think and Grow Rich. And Think and Grow Rich really was the beginning, the foundation of my understanding and personal development. Led me to the Master Key System, to Abraham Hicks, Jerry and Esther Hicks, Asking It Is Given. The Magic of Thinking Big by Dr. Schwartz. The all-time top of the top, which I found at the time, called the Master Key. Now, I got the Master Key inside of this personal growth and development library, and it was an audio form, and I started listening to it, and it had so much power, but it was like way too advanced for me. So the Master Key is the top of the top. So if you're a beginner, I still recommend it, because you might as well go to the top and get after it. Master Key it's really a short course. It's 24 parts, but it's going to be it's a short course, but it's a lifetime to master. It basically it's teaching me, because I'm a student, it's teaching me how to think. All right. So, but then eventually it didn't have this course, but it eventually led me to the Law of Success. And the Law of Success in 16 Lessons is the first one that I ended up seeing, but this one is the ultimate one. It's the 1925 version on the Law of Success. This is the one that was basically taken off the market, okay? Taken off the market, and that's the only course that actually holds the real secret that the ultra wealthy that did not want people to know. That was actually the reason it was taken off the market, okay? So the reason I talk to you about this today, about this personal development, okay, because I believe that personal development is what changed my life. All right, personal development is what really gave me the hope and the belief in myself. And personal development is really the reason that you are going to make it. If you're watching this right now or you're watching the recording, personal development is the reason you're going to make it. All right. Drink my Pellegrino water, sparkling water. Helps me with my intermittent fasting. So my grandfather comes from a place in a small town in Michigan, and he would always say, well, he'd always tell me, growing up, he'd say, well, I hope things change. I hope things change. And I'm thinking, yeah, I hope things change. I hope things change too. I hope that things change for the better. I'm thinking, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I hope things change for the better too. Comes from a really small town where there wasn't really a lot of money or wealth. He came from the Depression era, so he's always kind of a mentality of scarcity and hoping that things would change. It's kind of the attitude that I was raised with it at first. Basically, it allowed me, going to personal development, it was very hard for me to get rid of this attitude and eliminate the blame game. Okay, I had something called excuse-itis from this attitude that I got from Grandpa, let's say, Grandpa Otto. I would blame the government. I would blame secret societies. I would blame negative relatives that I wasn't having success at this for whatever reason. I would blame anything that I could find. I would just blame it. And I was like, I hope things would change in my life. I hope they would change. But the government, is screwed up. So I can't, things aren't changing right now. The economy is screwed up. So gosh, things aren't changing right now. I hope they change. I want to make this point. After all these years of struggling with this, that just the way I'd been taught, it's not about things changing. It was about me changing. I had to change, okay? And this is really the biggest secret I want to teach you today. I want to talk to you a little bit about the end. So stay till the end to really understand this. But the real key here, okay, on personal development and growth is I learned to work harder on myself than on my job. So learn to work harder on yourself than you would on your job. Learn to work harder on yourself than you would on your job. Great mentor once taught me that. All right. Talk a little bit about an idea of self-image, but give you kind of a story here coming from a place of scarcity versus the place of abundance. So growing up, you may have had your. I'll just share my story. Growing up, I had my first girlfriend, and going in high school, person in high school, I had a fear of talking to girls almost, right? To be honest, like, kind of get the shakes around girls at times. I first was exposed to this. So getting my first girlfriend was like, it was a big relief, and you think, okay, this is great. Now, I'm good. I got a girlfriend. I'm happy, and I can focus on other things now. It felt like, and once I had the first girlfriend, it felt like now all of a sudden these girls that I couldn't talk to, was too scared to talk to, now all of a sudden they wanted to talk to me. I didn't realize this till much later in life, why this was all happening. So I just kind of give you kind of a story here. So before, there's no way these girls would talk to me because I was so scared. I was coming from a place of scarcity. I was like, no idea. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't have confidence at all. So I was in a place of lack and scarcity. Like, what am I all about? Who am I? I had no belief in myself. Now, all of a sudden, I have a girlfriend, and all these girls wanted to talk to me. And I was like, I can't talk to them. I have no use for them now. I had no use for them. I was like, I got a girlfriend, right? I'm in a place of abundance. Try to explain this in a really simple way to you as an audience. I mean, think of it like this. All of a sudden now, I have this girlfriend, and all these other girls want to talk to me now. But before, nobody wanted to talk to me. What was different? What I realized is the only thing that changed was my own attitude, going from a place of scarcity versus to a place of abundance. This is a huge lesson right here. If you can grasp this lesson, just this one piece right here will change your life. So going out in life, and anything, business, anything that you're doing, it all comes down to this. Are you in a place of scarcity? Are you in a place of abundance? When I'm in a place of abundance, things just come to me naturally. The law of attraction just works naturally, and people are drawn to me. Situations, people, events, they just sort of happen without me even trying. But as soon as I go back into a place of scarcity, right, a place of want, a place of need, I want, I don't know, then things just start to fall apart and people are kind of drawn away. So it's a really, really important lesson here. Just kind of simplify it with a little story there with my first girlfriend. Kind of silly, but one of the biggest change that I went through in personal development was coming across Zig Ziglar. And for those who don't, if you're not following Zig Ziglar, I mean, you're missing out. You're missing out. And I know that people will see this in the future. So people in the recording, you don't even know who Zig Ziglar is. I'll give you kind of a little story. Zig Ziglar was raised in the South, and in the South, back during his time frame, they had these wells, right? Water wells get really hot and dry out in the South. So one day he and a buddy are out on a walk, and they come across one of these wells. And they come up to the well, and it's got one of these old school pumps on it, right? And the pump is it's like just a pump that you'd never see nowadays, but it's like these old school pumps. You have to pump it deep into the ground for the water to come out. And so Zig Ziglar tells a story about how, he and his buddy are there. They start pumping the pump, and they're pumping it. Nothing happens. There's no water. right? So he starts pumping and pumping and pumping and pumping and pumping, keeps pumping, and minutes go by, nothing's happening at all. So his buddy says, all right, let's go lube this pump up. So they get some water from a muddy area, and they put it on the pump to kind of lube it up, and they pump it some more. And he's pumping and pumping and pumping. There's nothing happening. There's just no water at all. So he finally, Zig Ziglar goes to his buddy, and he's like, hey, there's no water down in this well. There's nothing in there. And his buddy says, dude, don't stop pumping. If you stop pumping, all the pressure that you've been pumping on that water is going to go all the way back down to the bottom, and you're going to have to start all over again, right? So he goes back and he keeps pumping and pumping and pumping and pumping and pumping, and eventually the water's overflowing. It's overflowing everywhere. They got more than enough water. Crisp, clean, good water from the bottom of a well, just fresh, just pure tasting, abundance of water, and they're just their thirst is so quenched. This story that Zig Ziglar tells is so much about the story about life in abundance, okay? And about where you may be facing right now, or maybe anybody we could be facing together, where you may be pumping at the handle of life, doing all the right things, taking action daily, working on yourself daily, right? Going through the right motions, doing what you should be doing the right thing, being faithful, but there's no fruits. There's no water. There's no gold. There's no rewards. What is going on? You're hearing this call, this mastermind video hangout for a reason, okay? The reason is because the water, okay, this surplus of water is built up right now. It's a massive, massive buildup, and it's coming. It's about to explode. You're about to have an overflow of abundance. Okay, I'm serious about this. I actually know how, but it's a true statement. I mean, in life, just like Zig Ziglar would say, by pumping that handle, you got to keep pumping it, and then once the water starts flowing, you just go back and you pump the handle every once in a while, and the water keeps coming out. It becomes easy. But the hard part is getting it to the top, getting that water pressure all the way to the top to have the overflow. And that pressure right now is built up, okay? It's so built up to where there's going to be a massive surplus of abundance. And I want to talk a little bit about that, what my viewpoint about what is happening right now online, and just going to talk candidly about what I see coming, because I know this is going to help a lot of people. So there's back in October, I left an affiliate offer called My Advertising Pays. My Advertising Pays was a great advertising platform. Learned tremendous amount of value from them. And actually, I didn't leave it. Actually, I'm still making money from it, but I'm not promoting it at all. They're not having people in the United States, okay, because just the rules that they set in place. So after that, I came across, looked thoroughly for about a month, all these different offers online. I came across this thing called Zukul, and I ended up setting an account. It's like a tool suite. So by doing that, it allowed me. I wanted to find something to where people could prosper. Everyday people could prosper, because I know a lot of people that I know that I just have as friends, family that I trust and trust me, that love me. They don't know how to recruit people, and they're just a really difficult, challenging place in any, let's say, any business at all. If you're starting a business, how do you convince people to buy your product? That's really the hardest part for people. How do you convince people to do that? So what I discovered is this company, right, called Zukul, started by a guy called Jeremy Rush. Basically, they created a way to where anybody and everybody could have basically guaranteed signups into their business. Okay, so I ended up buying into this, and gosh, fast forward now, months and months later, this has exploded into this global phenomenon. Okay, and I'm not telling you this because I have a link to join. I really don't even have an affiliate link of this business. It doesn't work like that. Do I want to see it succeed? Absolutely. But do you have to join me? You can't join me. I don't have a link. But what they basically created was a one link family. something I'd never seen before. It's almost like prophetic. It's like a one link family concept, okay? And by everybody promoting and talking about the same link in perfect harmony, it allows the business to grow. And a lot of people who had struggled before in the past at recruiting or telling people about a business, all of a sudden are doing tremendously well, because I guess that fear of being all alone is gone. It's like the idea of the mastermind. It's like what I talk about here is the mastermind, being unified in harmony with others on the same, after the same goal. So basically now it's launching and it's evolving. Oh, there's another branch of it. It's basically this massive advertising monster. It's this beast of a company, a global advertising platform. But basically this arm called Zukul Ad Network is launching, and it's launching in April, next month. And it's not even started yet, but I just want to give you kind of a perspective about this, and why I'm giving you this perspective is because I believe it's going to create the biggest amount of financial freedom for everyday people, more financial freedom for everyday people than anything ever in history that I've ever come across, that I've ever seen. I'm just making kind of a bold prediction about this, but I think a lot of other people who are very educated will agree. And this is not coming from just some hypothetical guess or hope or wish or kind of like throw it out there as a roll in the dice. No, this is from all this amount of study and analyzation of the facts as to what's been going on since I first saw this. And really I started with it back in November. Now leading up to this place, I believe that it's going to create the biggest amount of change in giving more people financial freedom in 2016 than anything ever online. Everyday type of people, just regular folks. So, and here's why. Hasn't even started yet, first of all. And there's over 81,000 people who like the fan page. 81,000 people on the fan page on Facebook. No, it's hard to kind of, for me to understand that, because I just got on Facebook about 2 weeks ago. So if you haven't, I had no idea. I have never even on Facebook. The last marketer on the planet to be on Facebook. So I finally got on. But 81,000 likes means that 81,000 Facebook accounts actually like the fan page. That's very profound. Now, part of the reason why I believe that's happened is because there's a couple of other platforms that have had incredible difficulty with PayPal, a payment processor. One of the biggest platforms called Traffic Monsoon, which I don't really know much about. I'm not in Traffic Monsoon and don't have anything to do with it, but I know that there's like 2 million members in it, and I've heard it's something like $50 million. I don't know. Could be millions of dollars frozen inside of PayPal, okay, from this. And I'm going to talk candidly. Forget it. Yeah, that's what I believe. PayPal is something wouldn't support on a big scale like that. I think it's very dangerous. And look at what's happened to all these people. So what I'm saying is that all these people that now this thing has happened. There's 2 million people in this organization. They saw this kind of crumble down with this freeze of PayPal, millions of dollars. A lot of them have seen this. There's another big organization called My Paying Ads, and that organization also had the same problem. I was like 100,000 people in that one, I think. And I think it was 100,000 people. And that one, again, frozen as well. So this created a kind of a spotlight on this, on this. Not to mention the fact that there's just massive amount of hype online. It hasn't even started yet. Bottom line is this. It's a real advertising platform. It's something that's never been done. It's something that just blows my mind. They've got incredible hangouts every single day. The transparency of it is profound. I would highly recommend watching the hangouts, okay, on a daily basis, keeping in the loop. You can find them on the Facebook link. It's One Link Family. You can get more information about what it's all about, educating yourself, because I'm telling you, this thing, if you actually take the time to learn about it, it's going to blow your mind as to what I'm saying is actually real. It's really happening. It's going to create financial freedom. It's already created. Okay, it has already created financial freedom for thousands of people. But I believe it's going to create massive financial freedom for thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. It's a profound statement to say, but it's incredible. I mean, it solved the problem of people having to go out and recruit and sell things, because I think that's the hardest part people have is they can't sell, they can't recruit, they don't know what to do once they have a business. If they're in business, how do they make money in that business? Well, what's the next step? And that's the hardest part. And that's solved. Basically, they solved that problem. I can't recommend getting more information on that enough. Do it. I mean, I would highly recommend it. I think it's creating a massive prosperity movement, almost on biblical prophetic proportions. Nature's Bible's proportion that I've never ever seen before. So I would highly recommend doing that. Last story here. There was a gentleman by the name of Mr. Darby. Story of Mr. Darby, and he and his family, they basically bought this ranch down in Texas. And buying this ranch, he and his uncle, they discovered that they had gold on the ranch. They'd found a little bit of gold. So they started buying this equipment. They bought this equipment, and by buying this equipment, they started digging for this gold. Equipment was expensive, but they had a little bit of gold that they found. So they figured, there's got to be more gold down here, right? And they found this vein of gold. So they buy all this equipment, and start digging and digging and digging for gold, and the gold's coming out of the ground. They start to mine the gold on this big ranch property that they have down in Texas. And the gold's coming out. This is amazing. So, more relatives come in, and they start chipping in, and they're putting in more of their money to selling off other assets to buy more equipment to keep on mining this gold. They think they hit it big. It's on. All of a sudden, the vein of gold, it dries up. It's gone. They had all this equipment and all this time and money put into it. Now they keep digging. We're going to find it. They keep digging and digging and digging, but there's just no more gold. It's gone. They could keep going after. They're going to find it. No more gold. The gold's gone. Finally, Mr. Darby and his uncle and the family, they lose their patience. They're kind of at their wits' end. They say, what? We've been digging here and digging. There's just no more gold. There's nothing in here. Okay? I can't find anymore. There was a little bit there for a minute. We got a little bit, but hey, we did our best. Let's just go ahead and sell this equipment back to the junk man, and we'll sell this farm off because there's nothing here. We'll sell off this farm. We did our best. So they sell their equipment to the junk man. They sell the farm off where they'd found this gold, and they take their money from it and go back to regular lives, regular 9-to-5 type of jobs. The junk man, though, right, who bought this equipment and this farm, he said, I wonder if I hired a professional geologist, if there's actually any gold in this. So he does. He hires somebody and discovers that there is gold. He discovers that 3 feet away from where Mr. Darby and his uncle stopped mining this gold was one of the biggest gold veins ever discovered. 3 feet away. Just 3 feet away. 3 feet away from where they stopped. But they were digging and digging. They couldn't find anything, and they threw in the towel and gave it up. But 3 feet away, one of the biggest gold veins ever discovered in history was right there. And this junk man hit the jackpot, and Mr. Darby learned his lesson. Never, ever, ever stop, right? Because you could be 3 feet away from gold. And I want to end with that because it's a true story, and it really did happen. And right now, I believe that's right where you could be right now watching this, is just 3 feet away, from hitting that massive gold vein. So, yeah, Gavin Mehl Global Mastermind call number 15. I hope this helps you. One last thing. I promised you a secret I was doing from last week that transformed my health. And I talked a little bit about intermittent fasting. That's one thing I do on a regular basis, which is controlling my feeding window. And the last thing I do that's been incredibly profound and transformatory. First of all, to give you a background on intermittent fasting, what that is. Intermittent fasting is where I just control when I eat. That was the biggest health breakthrough I've ever had. So I eat within a 4 to 6 hour window. And then I also do something which allows me to be in a calorie deficit. So they'll say, well, is that what made you ripped or fit? Well, kind of, but technically what caused the fat to burn off. And well, first of all, why don't we want fat? Well, not only the aesthetics appeal, does it look good, but it also, fat is inflammatory, I realize. And so having all this excess body fat is inflammation in the body, causing more stress on the arteries, the heart, lungs. Everything's more inflamed and stressed out. And there's just a lot of benefits of getting rid of that. So by being in a deficit in calories, I discovered that allowed me to reduce the fat. Now, to just break it down really quick, I discovered that I had to eat enough protein not to lose muscle. The exact amount, I wrote a blog about it. I'll put in the link below, kind of describing the exact amounts, but it's 0.82 grams to be exact per pound of body weight. I had to at least get that amount of protein in order so I don't lose body fat, and sort of so I don't lose muscle. Also, of course, strength training is very important because, you don't want to lose muscle while you're doing this. The idea is lose fat, not muscle, which I have profoundly done, gain muscle and lost fat at the same time. So, but it's intermittent fasting where I control my feeding window, and then it allows me to be in a deficit in calories, right? So my average calories, if you want to maintain, it's 15 calories per pound of body weight. 2,400 calories for myself, being a 160-pound male. That's where my maintenance would be. So I want to be below that a little bit if I want to drop fat. And by being in this intermittent fasting, it allowed me to do that. By not doing fasting, there's no way I'd pig out. I'd have way too much food. There's no way I could make it. That's why I do the intermittent fasting, right? That's the whole idea, is it allows me to be in a deficit. And that's what caused the fat loss. But the other big key, the big secret that I'm going to tell you right now, and I told you I would save for you for this call here today, and that is something called oil pulling. Now, this is something I stumbled across on October 31st, accidentally. Shout out to Victoria Falls. She's the one who told me about it. Accidentally, Halloween, went to a party and ended up talking about this oil pulling, right? It was just totally not expected. Like, what's oil pulling? What's that all about? Basically, oil pulling is where I swish the oil around in my mouth for 20 minutes and spit it out in trash, and that's it. Well, why would you want to put oil in your mouth for 20 minutes? Well, what I realized is that this goes back, I don't know, hundreds of years, and there's a lot of studies in India. If you want to look into, I think there's a website, just oilpulling.com. It's an old website. Nothing really, this isn't like an expensive remedy or anything. You just go in the cabinet, go in your kitchen cabinet, you grab oil out. That's it. There's nothing to buy, right? So, there's not like a lot of people making money on this, I don't think, right? So that's why you're not going to find a lot of like current information on this, because it's like, where's the market? There's no market. There's nothing to sell. It's just household oil. You put it in your mouth. So, but what I found is there's a lot of studies from India of people that experienced major health transformations from oil pulling. And I was like, I believed it. I was like, I did it, started doing it. I started feeling incredibly good. So I'm not here to tell you that it's going to cure everything in the world, but I'm telling you that it's transformed my health. I used to have gum disease. I don't have gum disease anymore. I used to have occasional bad breath. I don't have occasional bad breath anymore. I would get toxins kind of building up in my body where I could feel it. I feel like my toxins are gone. It's definitely helped eliminate fat because I'm lean as heck. I'm about 8.5% body fat right now. It's helped with that. I mean, it's just profound. So oil pulling is something I highly recommend. And part of the reason I do this is so I can think clearly, because when you have a bunch of toxins in my mind, fluoride and poisons, other toxins, it's hard to get control of my thoughts, So oil pulling allows me to strip all that junk out, get it out of my mind so that I can be clear and be positive and have self-belief and self-image. If I can leave you with one last thing. The great Zig Ziglar, he's the one that really, I think, made the biggest breakthrough in self-image and personal development for me. Napoleon Hill, I believe, is the top of the top, but Zig Ziglar just changed my life. Zig Ziglar has it's the self-confidence formula. I don't know what it's called, but I'll leave it in the link below. I've written articles about it, but this one statement changed my life. It changed my entire life. And honestly, I say it every day. I've been saying it every day for 2 years now. I don't really know if I want to say the whole thing and bore you with it, but it's basically, I can write as Gavin Mehl, am an honest, intelligent, organized, responsible, committed, teachable person who's sober, loyal, clearly understands that regardless of who signs my paycheck, I'm self-employed. And it goes on and on. But by having a statement like this, having a statement like this, looking yourself in the mirror every single day and telling yourself this statement, and this is the one I would recommend. This is the Zig statement that changed my life. It's amazing. It truly does work. And there's something about convincing the mind. You know, eventually the mind, like the conscious mind, the shell of the mind, eventually it allows it through to the subconscious. And the subconscious is the most of the mind. Like that's like 90 to 90% of the mind is the subconscious. And eventually, if you tell the conscious mind enough times, Napoleon Hill says, then eventually it's going to break through that conscious shell of the mind. And then all of a sudden, the subconscious mind picks it up and starts to believe it, right? And that's where I'm at. I believe this statement now. So I highly recommend that every day. Look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself you can do it by the Zig Ziglar statement. Which I'll put a link below in a blog I wrote with how you can find it. Gavin Mehl, Global Mastermind, number 15. Self-image, personal development, changed my life. Hopefully it helped you. Very off the cuff today. And thank you for watching. I'm gonna stay till the call for next time. I'm gonna have a lot of profound stories that I'm gonna bring out to the news. I'm gonna update you also on this One Link family and this Zukul Ad Network, which I highly recommend going to zukuladnetwork.com. Take massive action. Just set up a free account. Nothing to buy. Just set up an account. Get more information, okay? You're not going to want to miss that. If you want financial freedom in 2016, go there. Just do it, okay? If you like this video, do the thumbs up. Leave a comment below with any questions, comments, or observations. If you want to private message me, you can find me on Facebook now. I'm on there now, and ask me any questions about my story about this or any things we talked about today or anything at all. I'm trying to be accessible as much as I can. And while I'm not completely familiar with Facebook yet, I will eventually see the stuff that's going on there. A little behind. If anyone's trying to reach me on there, I'm still trying to understand everything. So thank you for watching. Gavin Mehl, Global Mastermind, number 15. Much love. I love you. Be the best. We'll see you next time.